Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I felt like this was possibly a way that we could share information with you. I know there have been a lot of concerns expressed regarding our common assessments and regarding our pacing guides. We want to share with you that information. Sometimes emails just are very impersonal, and I appreciate Ms. Fuller for being, she serves as our secondary instructional partner, but she also is a great resource for teachers to reach out to send questions to the central office or to get information from the central office. Of course, we want to be as open and honest with you as possible. A lot of things going on in your schools and your classrooms, a lot of things going on here at the central office, but we don't ever want to lose touch with you all. And so thank you for that. Dr. Dalrymple is also here today as our curriculum instruction director. And so I appreciate both of these ladies. They were chomping at the bits to get from the camera and do this. So in all seriousness, I appreciate them being willing to do it this way. And so with that being said, I want to ask Ms. Fuller if she would just lead this discussion with questions that have come from you all at the schools. And we'll have an open discussion here. And at the end, Ms. Fuller will send out a Google Doc that you guys can give feedback on, or you can send in questions. We could possibly follow up with an email or with something else that might help you. And we'll consider doing this again if it's helpful. So with that, Ms. Fuller, go ahead and start us off.
All right, so I've compiled a list of some of the common teacher questions about pacing guides and common assessments. So starting with common assessments first, when will they actually begin in the classrooms?
We're going to start with those just in math. Remember, we had spoken that ELA will not take common assessments this year, being in a new textbook. So we're going to work through those, but only going to do a math pilot in the spring. So you'll take two. There'll be one in March and then one in May.
Okay. And how will common assessments be used in the classroom and as a school?
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to say something first about this. I want to put all of your fears to rest. If some or many of you have been concerned about these tests being used to look at you as far as making judgment calls about teaching or practices, that's really not necessarily at the foreground of what this is about. These common assessments are going to be part of this MTSS that we are piloting. We're one of 33 systems in the state that selected to pilot this. It will be mandatory across the state by 2027. So it's coming, and it is one more thing that we will do. But we don't want to look at it as just one more thing. It's a way to provide a quality education to students in relation to all the services that we offer and all the resources that are available. So I said all that to say this: common assessments and pacing guides are going to be part of our life regardless. And so we hope that we're getting in on the front end. It would be great if these were in place now, and that would be obviously ideal, but that's not the case. But to the point of who will have access to them, I, as superintendent, and I would even go so far as to say it's the principals at the schools, we will not be looking at the results on these common assessments as anything we would use to make a judgment call about a teacher's performance. We have the ATOC that's in place, or the teacher growth plan that's in place that's there for that. We have ELIOTs that we use for that. So we have more formal ways of looking at instruction and interaction in the classroom, but that's not what this is about at all. This is really, truly a way that we can assess across the county what is being taught, how the students are receiving it. I know there's a question about the seriousness, that level of seriousness that the students may or may not have about this, and we'll have an answer for that as well. But let me just say right now, this is in no way, shape, or form going to be something that we look at or that we post on the wall or that we compare teacher to teacher with. This is simply a way to look at what we're teaching in a formative way and assess our students getting it. That's what our hope is.
Right. And the biggest thing is we'll be able to do item specifications. So you can look at a standard, look at how we ask the question, and look at student responses. Really and truly, the data is looking at students, not at teachers.
Yeah.
All right, will the common assessments be taken for a grade?
And that's not, they will not be taken as a grade. We're going to work on incentives, so the students will take them seriously. Really, this first year is a pilot year, but as we move into this, it would be that a student could earn different things for growth on those assessments.
Who makes the common assessments?
Well, that's going to be, we do have the opportunity to possibly work with a company called Kids First. We do have them doing a presentation on Tuesday to the teachers who worked on the original pacing guides. And what Kids First has done is taken the proficiency scales that are created aligning with the Marzano resources that the state is moving towards, and then create common assessments from those pacing guides. So if we choose to use the Kids First model, those would be created, but they are also editable, and they have an item bank in which the teachers can look at that as well.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, we were not aware of Kids First. Actually, we were invited. You were not able to go. I went in your place over to UNA East Campus recently for this, and to be honest with you, I went there with a closed mind, and I'm just going to be honest about it, because here again, we're oftentimes we have different things that vendors send us that you always feel like there's a hook in it. And so I want to say to you all that I never want to be in the place where that we're just purchasing products or software or programs to just unbox and pass on to you in the classroom. That's not the point. And I think on the tail end of being able to look at student data and to hear feedback from teachers in the classroom as to where we need more resources or need more professional development, that's what these pieces I feel like will bridge the gap between. So Kids First is really the wheel that we were working on. When you talk about a pacing guide and you talk about common assessments, these are Alabama state specific pacing guides and common assessments. And so when I heard that, my ears perked up, and I asked the vendor if this was something we could purchase a la carte, because this is a large package. There are other things there that I really didn't feel like would benefit us, but she went back to her boss, and so they've extended us the opportunity to look at purchasing just the pacing guide component and the common assessment component. Of course, that would allow U.S. teachers to have access to the whole massive item bank of questions, really good, very well vetted questions that are very similar to what kids are going to see, depth of knowledge, levels that you'll be able to choose from. And so give us a means to actually build, I feel like, a better set of common assessments and adjust them as needed, instead of us inventing this wheel on our own. So that's the purpose, sort of the pause. And I do want to say at this point in time, thank you to all of you teachers who came from the schools and was a part of working on those pacing guides and these discussions and the preliminary work toward these common assessments. I know there may be some frustration as to, we said we were going to do this and now we're on hold, and we're in a holding pattern, simply because if there's a better way to do it, then I'm interested in that. And if this is not the way, then we'll simply go back towards building these out on our own. But there are a lot of resources out there. This interests me because it is Alabama state specific. This does not come from California, Texas, or anywhere. These are built off, and it's literally, these are hometown folks. And so they're coming on Tuesday. We'll have a group of teachers here to hear that. Very interested in your feedback on what you hear from this. Again, we'll move forward based on that. But I don't want anybody to think that we're just in a big hurry to just do something. I would rather us not do something as to get in a hurry and throw something down on paper and call it done, and then it really not be a help to us, and it would be a loss of time that you spent here working on it. So I said all that to say I'm anxious to see what Kid First has to present to us. If it's something we want to invest in, I think it would be awesome, but I want to hear that from classroom teachers and from others as well. So.
Okay, and the last question about common assessments.
Yeah, click that.
Hang on just a second.
Our computer thinks that we've gone away, so bear with us. All right. Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Okay, last question about common assessments. When and how often will teachers meet to discuss them, if at all? The test and the data.
Absolutely, the teachers will meet and discuss them. We would not do something like that without having the opportunity to meet and discuss. I could mention to you, if you can look and see what's behind me, in the K-3 world, we're living with the Literacy Act, and this is a breakdown of all the standards from kindergarten through third grade and a tally system on how we're covering those standards. So after taking a common assessment, we'll be able to look at the item-specific questions, how they align with the ACAP, how many times did we cover that in the classroom, and then how are we questioning the students? Is it rigorous enough? Those are the things that we're going to look at. Again, like we said, the common assessment is to look at kids, not at teachers.
Right.
Are we giving the students enough information to score well enough on a common assessment like that is set up like a standardized test from the State Department? So that would be our ultimate goal, is to be able to meet like we are with the K-3 reading coaches, to be able to meet with English teachers and with math teachers and start looking at things this way and breaking them down, and making sure that our students are getting everything that they need.
And that's even recent conversations we've discussed with regarding math, and just knowing the item specs of the test. You know, there are lots of resources that are out there that you teachers have access to, as far as, you know, some of the retired questions and some, you know, how the other aspects about the test that's given, that we can know as much as possible about how we're going to be tested. And I think that's just being strategic. You know, we're never going to get to the point where we ask teachers to teach to the test. That's not the point. But if you know how you're being tested, I think it is wise to be able to make sure you're instructing your students purposefully and sufficiently enough that, you know, when you look at, like I said, this example here, which is a great backdrop for this discussion, you know, when reading coaches meet here and they're putting together resources and planning for this open court implementation of what we're doing with it. Of course, we're doing that as it comes in the back door. Literally, books are coming in. I think Matt labeled 5,000 books just this past day or two. And of course, we're getting that out to you. And as bad as that may seem, teachers, there are systems all around us who have little to no resources for books. So we're thankful, even though the shape is we're in, it's not ideal. But the main goal is, here again, we're taking this time, and I know this is a bit uncomfortable for y'all.
Not me.
Yeah, well, we have one professional actor in the group, but I did ask them for us to sit down, and I felt it was necessary to have just an open discussion. These are the things we're talking about here at the central office. I want to encourage you all to have these professional conversations in your schools and feel like that you can reach out to us. And, you know, we can't do everything, but we can do some things. And we want you to feel like that what we're doing here, even though it may go unseen, or oftentimes you may not hear the conversations and the work that's going on, we are working here to support you. And we're certainly not working against you. Some other questions, I think, maybe about the pacing guides in specific you want to ask?
Yes, one other question. This is about the pacing guides. So whether we choose to purchase pacing guides on Tuesday or choose to work with what we've put together in the past, what is a timeline for how we would implement those pacing guides into the classrooms?
So we would start towards working to put those pacing guides in place in the spring. So looking at everything that we have done and then going back and picking up standards that may not have been covered in the first and second 9 weeks, according to either our pacing or their pacing. So right now, all you're doing right now is really teaching your standards. Teaching your standards with the resources that you finally, hopefully, all have in your hands. That was one of the other reasons of really putting a pause. And yes, discovering that the student Kids First existed, but the fact that you didn't have your books ahead of time to be able to look at them and delve into speaking specifically to the English teachers, you didn't have a chance to really see everything that is out there to help you through this. So we're just we're working towards looking at January, being able to get all of this in place. And then this is a complete pilot year for common assessments. We'll see how it goes. We'll take one in March and we'll take one in May and see if this is, and actually if we do go the Kids First route, this will be an opportunity for us to actually see how that works and see if it truly is what we would like to move forward in using.
Right. And of course, I think it goes without saying, but if we were to purchase a pre-made program, that would take out a lot of the time that would be required to have you come down and work on these here. So there's a trade-off in all of these decisions. We want to make sure that if we're going to purchase something, first of all, that it fits our need. But second of all, you know, that it's something that we can put put into place, I think this would be a sooner move. We're able to move on this sooner than if we have teachers coming back, building this out.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot more time because we want it to be done well. And I know you do as well. So,
The entire state really seems to be shifting towards Marzano's research and proficiency scales. And we didn't know that last year as we were working on pacing guides. We did not know that everyone would start talking about proficiency scales. Our hope is, especially Ms. Fuller and I, we've been having lots of conversations in the hope that we are excited to see that the state is moving this way, but we need them to stay on this train for a while. But I think that as you start looking at proficiency scales and looking at what Kids First has to offer, for those of you who join us on Tuesday, I hope that you'll see what Ms. Fuller and I have been able to see in that.
I want to say thanks again for taking the time to watch this video. This may be good, may be bad. Some people may like this better than just an email. I felt like it was necessary for us to give you this type of answer in this setting. I know these questions mean a lot to you. You certainly expressed those to Ms. Fuller. I appreciate her. She comes here and she is an advocate for you. I know her job is to be there as that instructional partner, so I appreciate her for being that. But I know there's some frustrations out there. They're just things in general. But I want to say I appreciate the work that you're doing. That may sound hollow, but that truly is. I hear many compliments from our community stakeholders, from parents, and the credit always goes to all of you who are doing this every day. We're here to support you in that. I'm happy about where Colbert County Schools, the direction we're heading in. I think we have a clearer vision than before of what it is that we need to do for our kids, how it is that we need to support you. So thank you again for being in the place that you are. I want to mention again, Ms. Fuller will be sending out a Google Doc. And so if you would like to add your comments to that, or if you'd rather prefer to just email her or either one of us, that's fine. We'll try to respond back to you and let us know what you think of this venue as far as communicating with you. And we look forward to hearing from you about this. Everyone enjoy your break, and much needed break over the weekend. And we look forward to seeing those of you who'll be with us on Tuesday. And thanks again for joining us. Thank y'all both for doing this.
Thank you.
Thanks.